Welcome to GCSA TV Virtual Live, presented in partnerships with the Andersons, who I'm going to be speaking with today. And I'm Frank Rossi here at Cornell University at the 2021 Virtual Golf Industry Show. We should be in Vegas, fellas, right? What are we sitting in our office for when we should be in Vegas? Anyway, we're here to talk about aerification products with Dave Loudon and Ed Price, territory managers with the Andersons Group, and Tyler Warner, also a territory manager, about these aerification products. So Ed, let's start with you. What's the history? I guess I'm a little bit naive about aerification products. Could you give me a little background on what these things are to begin with?
You bet, Frank, and I appreciate you asking. I can tell you that the Andersons really listen to the golf course superintendents. We straw polled quite a few golf course superintendents, and the one thing around aeration, and aeration's always a stressful time for the superintendent, that the one theme that always came back is, boy, we'd like to have a product that would, we could go across the green one time instead of making a pass with this product and a pass with that product. And so what we really tried to do is we tried to respond to the golf course superintendent's needs and create a one pass across the green product. Superintendents were using our 18918 and our STEP product, our trace element package product, our potassium product, our 0045. They were using a Smart Phos. They were using multiple products. And what we really did is we combined them together, try to create a product that, less labor, less trips across the green, less input, period. And you can use this product at a variety of rates that the other territory managers get into. But we really, really wanted to respond to the golf course superintendent and do a one product, one pass product.
Okay, so Dave, that leaves it to you, pal. There's a 575 and a 373. When Ed lists off all the things that are in there, how does that happen? I mean, here we are with the miracle of DG technology again, I'm assuming, and now you're putting it together for something that's bringing, sound like 4 products all in one pass. Is that what we're talking about here, and is that what makes this different?
So what we have here, Frank, we actually have a blend of several contact DG products. So Ed had mentioned we use our 18918, which has been the stalwart of the industry for many years. Then we mix in some 4220, which is a Smart Phos type product, Struvite, slow release phosphorus. In addition, we had a Caltech product, which is high in potassium, high in available calcium. Then we had our 8-TEP product, which is our trace element package. And then to top it all off on the 575 product, we add in humate-DG. So we have a complete product there and can use that time of aerification. And we've also had tremendous success with this product as a pre-plant fertilizer. Frank, if a guy is restoring a green or overseeding a green, and one of the real beauties there is the dual phosphorus source here we want to touch on. 18918, we have some monoammonium phosphate in there, give you an upfront response. But we all know that when doing construction, you want to use monoammonium phosphate, but it doesn't last very long, right? You're gonna get in there potentially tied up by a high pH. So what we do is we add in our Struvite or our Smart Phos, which is a 4220, which is a slow release P source, going to last the whole growing season, and it is not affected by any high pH or low pH levels.
And so, I've been around long enough to remember the trace element package, and honestly, it was something you put out once a year. It was so easy to do, and it was everything in one shot. And so what you're saying is you're taking each of those individual contact products and putting them together in one bag, but not everything's on the one prill.
That is correct. So this is the 575 and or the 343 are blended versions with numerous contact DG products in it. Now when we switch over to the 343 product, what we've done is we take the base 575 and then at 50% of that product by volume then is zeolite, and then we also add in some microorganisms. So these are for areas, these very high stand content greens that are having trouble holding nutrients. So we have two versions of the product, and you would have to determine which one's going to work best for you.
Okay, and so in determining that, Tyler, you've got the Genesis product line and the Turf Nutrition tool. How is this all working together?
So basically what we do, Frank, as territory managers, we use that TNT tool to develop fertility programs for those turf grass managers. And essentially we start with asking the question of when are they aerifying? And so and the reason why we do so is those are usually the one or two times, depending upon the number of times they aerify throughout the year. Those are the two times where they're not as worried about controlling growth. They're about recovery from all of those processes during the aerification process. So, you with the TNT tool, then we stick in the two aerification times. First with the Genesis products, whether it's the 575 or the 343, depending upon whether they want the soil amendment or not. And then we will plug in the rest of the fertility program throughout the year so that we are making sure that we're managing or controlling growth as much as possible with granular products as well as any foliar products that they're using throughout the year.
Okay, so Ed, what's so great about aerification? I mean, why is, in your mind, this is a time when superintendents want to, solve a lot of problems with one stone, right? So what is it about aerification that your products are really good at and that you think superintendents really like?
Well, aerification is a stressful time. No one really enjoys it. It's a labor-intensive process. Managing that organic matter in putting greens is there's a fine art to that. That's where science and the art of greenskeeping collide. And I can tell you firsthand that if you can go make your aerification process easier, whether it's a one-pass product across the green or good crew, sympathetic golfers, whatever it would be, it is very helpful to the golf course superintendent.
Well, I'm more wondering about, you got holes, right? Aerification's making holes. Yeah, for sure, the process of having to go over once with a product. Is there something about supplying the product, Dave, into the soil like that makes a bigger difference? Do I get a better bang for my buck than just putting this stuff on the top?
So we touch on these. These are all DG components in these two blends we have here. But the scenario we have, Frank, is when you're using a 575 and or the 343, we realize that our application rates on these products are going to be pretty high, right? I mean, we're talking, 10 to 15 pounds of product per 1,000 square feet. So even though it's a DG, we have DG formulations, probably don't want to be putting 10 to 15 pounds of product on turf that's being mowed at an eighth of an inch or less. So what this really allows you to do once or twice a year, it allows you to really get a full complement of all essential nutrients and micronutrients, conjunction with humic acid and/or zeolite. It allows you to get it on there at a high enough rate to really set yourself up for recovery, during that aerification time and cruise you into the end of the growing season, or depending if you're aerifying in the spring, into the heart of the most stressful time of the season.
That's right. And so, Tyler, you mentioned when we were talking a minute ago about, they really want recovery. They're not worried about growth. In fact, they're trying to get as rapid growth as they can. What are you hearing from the superintendents in your market that are using this approach associated with the aerification? Are they, in fact, getting that recovery, and are they seeing other sorts of things like maybe enhanced rooting or other sorts of things?
Yeah, the recovery aspect of both of these products has been remarkable. Actually, there's, when we first came out with the product, based upon our independent research that we've done at Kansas State, we suggested the 15-pound rate per thousand. And a lot of the guys in the warm season market have maintained that. I will say a lot of the guys in the bent grass market are using lower rates because they feel like they're growing too much because the recovery is too rapid. And so there are different rates across the geographic areas. And there's also been some trial and error from customers where they're doing 7.5 pounds the week prior to aerification, and then doing the other 7.5 pounds the day of application. And so there's been all kinds of different methods used by superintendents just from their own experience. But yes, increased recovery and increased rooting both have been experienced by superintendents after using this product.
So Ed, Dave just mentioned humates again, and so you guys got the humates in this product also. I gotta believe, no one always thinks about it, but you're actually injuring a fair amount of roots when you do aerification, and it is stressful. You're taking off some of the biomass of the plant. Is that some of what the humates are designed to do? Maybe promote some of that healing? Because certainly the zeolite is going to really ramp up the cation exchange capacity, that's in there as well. Maybe as you're pushing water through. Tell me how the humates and zeolites are working in there.
Well, the zeolites and the humates are working, biologically in that soil interface. And as Tyler mentioned, we're getting great results from the superintendents. We're getting really, really good feedback from the soups that have been using it. New product.
So Dave, you mentioned a couple of times as we wrap up here, struvite and this phosphorus compound. Phosphorus has sort of been a dirty word in many parts of the Northeast, right? Because of the potential pollution issue, and we can't really apply it in some places unless we've got a soil test that says that we need it. I think your point is well taken about how its uptake can be influenced by pH. But talk a little bit about the struvite, the smart phosphorus.
So the smart phos product for us, we got into this market a few years back because, here in the Great Lakes area, if you were in Wisconsin, you've been on NR 151 for a number of years, and we went from applying starter fertilizer once a year on all greens to all of a sudden going to 19015 and 9018 and 15015 and having no phosphorus on there. So now, after been doing this for 10 or 12 or 15 years, soil tests have begun to indicate that we have phosphorus deficiency on greens. So, and we saw that these struvite type products come to the market a few years ago under various names, but the drawback to the product was it was so rock hard, so water insoluble that if you applied it to an existing turf canopy, Frank, no matter how much water you put on it, you couldn't get it break down and get into the plant.
Well, that's no good. You could just go out and start spreading rocks and get the same benefit.
Bingo. So we were able to take that struvite type technology in with our great formulation experts at the Andersons. We were able to transform that into a struvite, into a DG form. So now you can apply that phosphorus, and it's phosphorus that the plant can actually use throughout the growing season. And, the scenario is if you put on a traditional phosphorus type, starter type fertilizer on your turf in the springtime with MAP in it, it's here and gone in 2 weeks. You get into the stressful time of the summer, you got no phosphorus. Now you put a product on like this with any one of the products containing smart phos, you get a season-long feed, nice even feed that the product gets released by the acid coming off the root hairs. It turned out to be a godsend for turf managers.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Dave, thanks again for bringing up the the wonderful formulators you guys have at the Andersons that have created these products, and now you're sort of putting them all together in one package, and everybody's able to take advantage of it and put on those volumes during the aerification. Tyler, I'm glad to hear you say that people are responding to it positively. And once again, we've got really good end to a wonderful conversation. Thank you all for joining me. From the Andersons Group, I'm Frank Rossi. This is GCSA TV Live, brought to you by the Andersons Group, and we'll be back in a little bit.